Oh, hey there, everyone. Good to see you. I was just reading a book. This is what people would read back in the day, as opposed to their phones. But good to see you here. Paul, going to dive into today's daily creative challenge. Just so you know, you are in the right place. By the way, essentially, we're going to be tackling our summer reading program, tackling Photoshop in various chapters, actually day by day for 9 days. And here's some of the subjects we'll work on. Today we're going to do shapes and colors, so it's good to have you here. Welcome, everybody. Feel free to say hello, and let's get this party started, shall we? Let's do it right here. First off, this is what we're going to work on. We've done about 4 already. We're telling stories. We're actually even reimagining classics. And what we have today is right over here, Frankenstein. Frankenstein, as I like to call him, right? Essentially, if you're joining me anywhere else, want to say welcome to you. Good to have you here. Hopefully, everything's working just fine, maybe. Should be good. Let's go ahead and turn that on. All right. Cool. Let's get this party started, because you can see right in here, this is what we're dealing with. This page, scrolling down, we did photo to painting yesterday, which was really fun. And right over here, we have shapes and colors, right? So that's what we're going to be doing, some shapes and colors. Just click right there, get started, grab this file right here. You could also just start with a blank document as well. So this is the file right here, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, written around, what, 1900? And then there was the popular Frankenstein movie with Boris Karloff that I think like premiered or basically was shown during the Great Depression in like 1930, which I think is fascinating. You know, it's like they're dealing with the Great Depression, and then Frankenstein was like a super popular movie. Anyways, kind of interesting. Here we are. Feel free to say hello. Hi, Colleen. I see you there. Carol's in the house. Ted, what's up? Good morning. Let's do this. All right. Shapes and colors. So I know it sounds kind of boring and basic, but you know what? Everything's made up of basic shapes at the end of the day. Photoshop's a good combination of not only, of course, Photoshop, but you have the ability to add vector content. So that's where we're going to have the flexibility of shapes that we can create, but we're going to go beyond these, right? These are all really straightforward, right? We can go with a rounded rectangle, for instance, if I decided I want to give this a frame. Anytime I draw something out, first off, notice right here, it's set to shape, because that's what I'm making, right? It's not going to be a path, right? It's going to be a shape, like so. And then from there, it's going to default to the last color that you used. Okay, so that's what's happening there. I've had cases where I'll accidentally have a stroke turn on in here, and you can see that happens. So just be mindful of it. It keeps your last settings right there. So that's what I've drawn out. We can see that rounded rectangle. I'm just pointing out this one really fast, because right over here you have sort of the corner controls, if you will. So right down here, we can see we can change this to be like, say for instance, 40. Hit enter. Since I have that lock on, let's do 80. Right, you get the idea. That's how the basic shapes work. Pretty straightforward. Okay. Awesome. Cool. Awesome. Nice to see you. I see Double O. I see Froja there. Multiple Migs. All these fun names over there on like YouTube. But I'm getting rid of that, okay? So actually, if you do a hard press or long press on this, you'll see these additional tools down here. There's the custom shape tool. If I just put myself on the other side of the screen, you should be able to see it. The custom shape tool right here, right, that we could use, right? Where is it pulling from? Well, let's go to Window. Let's go down to Shapes. Because what did we add recently in Photoshop? A ton of new shapes, like so. There they are. Take it all in. Good morning, Oleg from Miami. Let's get my glasses back on. I'm getting serious now. I'm getting into this. Okay, so first off, yours might not be organized this way, right? I've actually taken them. I've kind of taken out all the folders and just dumped everything into this main area, because it's easier for me to see. But no, in here you can organize your shapes any way you want by either adding folders, new stuff, or I could say people. Let's do people. because that's what we're going to be dealing with. We're going to make a Frankenstein monster using different shapes, right? And right up here, we will grab our people, which happen to be right here. Let's grab them all, selecting them all, organizing them however you want to organize them. In this case, let's just take them down into that folder. Just kind of showing you what's happening there. Let's move that down. Bop, bop. There it is. People are all there. Do the flyout menu, and then you probably want to add legacy shapes and more, which I absolutely love. Legacy shapes and more. So let's see what that looks like. Gives you this whole new folder right in here, right? So we have shapes from 2019, all this awesome content, right? And this is all the stuff that I kind of just dumped into one folder. If you like reading, hey, maybe the folders are the way to go, right? And then you can get into a lot of these down here, these legacy default shapes. I end up using these a lot, okay? I end up using a lot of these shapes in the symbols, okay? So anytime I need a star or whatever, you get the idea. All right, it works the same way as if we've drawn out a shape. So let's just go grab a person. Why not? Let's close that up. Let's grab this person right here. You can take this person, drop it. Let's zoom out. Let's actually minimize this. There we go. Here we are. Take this and drop them right into your file. Right? Now we have this character standing like so. Okay? Another way of doing things is coming over here to your custom shape tool right down here. Selecting that. Your custom shape tool, if you go up to the top, you'll see that you get the same menu of items, right? It's the same thing. That's why I said, hey, you know what? Organize everything in your shapes panel and then jump in and you could use the custom shape tool if you want to do that, right? So two different ways to get to things, right? Whichever works for you. Just to prove it, I'm gonna select this guy, hit enter, be mindful of all my settings at the top, right? And then drag out like so. By the way, here's another good pro tip that screws people up. Oh, Julia, thank you so much. She's going to be live today too. And it's good because she's doing vector content. If anything ever gets screwed up with your option bar for any tool, just go right over here and right click and just reset it. You can always reset it as well back to the way it was in case some settings got messed with. Okay? Easy enough, right? Let's turn off that title layer. We're gonna make a Frankenstein-like character now. So I have this first one, right? Here he is. Scale him up, right? And I can start to edit this some more if we want to, right? So we can come in and do lots of things. Now, I want to do a couple things. Okay. Let's just say, for instance, I want to give this guy the bolts that Frankenstein has on both sides of his neck. I can go over here to the pen tool. With the pen tool selected, right up here at the top, I'm making sure it's a path. And right over here, let's just be really mindful of what's happening. This is where people get screwed up. And those of you who work in Photoshop, sometimes you'll jack with things. Look, this was actually set to exclude overlapping shapes. So if I would have started to draw, you'll be like, what the heck is going on? That's not what I wanted. I just wanted to add bolts, right? So let's undo that. Go right up here at the top. And what we want to do is we want to combine shapes, right? We could just do that, combine shapes. We can draw out like those little bolts, like that. I don't know, something like that. There it is, right? Over here, same size, side for Frankenstein's monster. Which, by the way, since it is story time, Mary Shelley, the reason she came up with Frankenstein, she had a competition with two other writers on sort of making the scariest story, and that's what drove her to write Frankenstein. One of those other writers ended up being her husband, which I thought was really cool, and the other one was Lord Byron, who's I can't think of what he's written right now. Okay, you see what happens off to the side. In fact, let's just make this panel a little larger, easier for you to see. We can see right over here, there's our character, right? And we're actually adding to this specific layer, right? Okay, so Richard, let's just do this. There might be a chance where you might have another layer and you'll come in and you'll use, again, the pen tool, whatever you want. You can use any one of these. You can use the curvature pen tool, so I can click, click, curve around. I'm just showing you this because, like, what if I had another shape? Shape. Come on now, I did that before. So it's set to shape. I'm just gonna go ahead and, this is on a new layer. Again, this is like really important stuff. I think when it comes to vector content in Photoshop, people make more mistakes than are necessary. So right over here, here's this shape too that I've drawn. I wanna connect it to this one. I can take this one and I want to right click and I want to move down. Not merge visible. Let's just take these two. Merge shapes. Here we go. You have things drawn on two different. Oh, Byron was a pellet. She walks in beauty. Ah, awesome. Thank you so much for that, Michelle. Right click. If you have two shape layers, guess what? You can combine them. Merge shapes like so. It merges them. Of course, they're all that one color, and we can see we have this character so far. Okay, cool. Right. Looks like he's out of beer. That's hilarious. Let's try this. Admittedly, I think sometimes we get a little, I don't know. Sometimes as a presenter, you sometimes want to try some new things while still staying on task. But let's go to the direct selection tool, because once we have these vector shapes, we can manipulate them all we want, right? So we could make this guy look less like he's holding a beer, right? We can grab, say, his arm right over here. It does look like he's holding a beer. Let's get rid of that entirely. Like, let's just kind of move that down. In fact, I could even hit delete and remove those points if I want to as well, right? Let's take, for instance, this part right here, and Command T and rotate it, because it works a lot like Illustrator. I can manipulate his arm. But what I really want to do is I want to chop him up. Yeah, Michelle, you're killing me. Right? I want to chop up this guy. No offense. He's not going to feel a thing. He's like, these aren't even my arms and legs. Right? So let's do this. Let's use the direct selection tool to select the arm. We'll cut it. Right? We'll go to new layer, and we'll just see what happens if I paste it. Okay, that didn't quite work. This is what I would do. I was only going to use parts of him. So I will take this layer, I'll duplicate it, and I'm just going to have an arm like that. Boom. I have my backup layer right here. We'll take this one. We'll get rid of these other points. Let's get rid of them. It's okay if you end up with some weirdness. It's going to go away once you get everything squared away right in here. Like that. You might have these weird parts that are kind of cutting through. It says, hey, you know what? It's because you didn't actually connect those points. We can go in, connect those 2 points if we dare. Give me 1 second. Pen tool. Don't really want the curvature pen tool. There we go. Kind of closing those up like that. If I can get it. All right, so they're kind of closed up. You get the idea. Right, so that's the goal. It's like drag out. Your goal is to take, you can take different people is all I'm doing, and I'm going to be using different parts of these different people to sort of Frankenstein our new character, right? Just like I was doing before, remember? I took this guy, dragged him out. Let's use, maybe his leg, right? So right in here, let's change him to white. Let's take the direct selection tool, chop off all that stuff, all this stuff, and then here's his leg, right? Like so. All right, let's do some more. Let's actually go back to this original guy, which I actually like. Command J to jump. We want to use his head, like so. Let's get rid of everything else. So that's all I'm doing, everybody. How is everybody doing? It is Friday, huh? Anybody got big weekend plans of just like staying in and hanging out? I don't know. I'm just happy you guys are joining me. Get rid of some of these points. I can edit this all day long. I encourage you to as well, right? We can add some colors to these as well. But there's the arms, the legs. Let's get some more body parts in here, shall we? What else do we got? Oh man, this can get so hilarious. Let's take this guy's arm. By the way, each time I drag out a shape, do you notice how it always starts out as black? Because that's in my foreground color. I want it to be white. I want to put white in the foreground color, like so. So there we are. Coming here for this guy right here. And let's take his arm as well. So that's all I'm doing. Checking the time. I still have 10 minutes. This is awesome. Which is always scary when I say that, because as soon as I think I have time, the time is up. Right? But what we need to do is we need to add colors, gradients, use some masks. We're going to have fun once we have all these like basic shapes in place. Okay? If you feel the need to kind of close these up and make them more curved, you don't want that solid edge, right? That's going to come down to using the pen tool, right? Hit P, go in there, wait till you see it giving you a circle, go up here, and then click like so. Some of you, move off the layer panel. I'm sorry, I will actually. Gosh, I'm not paying attention to my own stream. Thank you, sir. Let's make me much smaller too, shall we? Jeez. There we go. Boom. There we are. Much easier. Thank you. Okay, so we got Mr. Saggy Pants. We're just taking his arm, right? We have that enclosed as a shape. A lot of you can't actually see this. Like, it's really hard to tell. We're working with a blue line on a blue background, right? So how can we fix that? Well, let's go right up here to the path options. We're going to change the thickness to about 3 pixels. See how much thicker it is? In fact, let's go into lovely magenta. So much easier to see as I start to work on more shapes. And if we take a look, it travels with you. So basically, it's the settings for Photoshop is what you're doing. All right, so there we go. Boom, 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 boom. Command J, chopping things up, creating our Frankenstein character, right? Also, I want to show you actually how you can vectorize a photo in Photoshop. Usually we show how to do that in Illustrator, but you could actually do it in Photoshop. So I will get to that right in here. Let's just like take his body. Let's get something. Connect those, connect these. This is our life. Maybe make it look a little bit more abstract on this side. There we go. We have his body. The nice thing about creating content, vector content, is if I wanted to add a point, I don't need to go right over here to the add anchor point tool. All you need to do is roll over that line, right? Boom, there it is. So we'll add a couple right in there. Right? We have the convert point tool, but right down here, what do? We just select A, and that will give you the direct selection tool if I hit it a couple times. Anyways, just kind of making some shapes there for his body. All right. Any other crazy legs we can work in? I don't know. Maybe this. Why not? Is it the same guy? Why is this, what sort of pose is this? Does anybody know? Anybody know what type of pose that is? I don't. Right in here. Get rid of all this stuff. There we go. Boom, boom. Let's make this happen now. We have a leg. Look at something I never do typically. Body is name my layers. It kind of just depends on the project. But now I can take these, move them around like I'm doing right now. Command T to rotate, and then like so. This does look like he has a beer in his hand. Maybe this one. Again, how many times? Why? Why? I actually like the stacked look. It's kind of cool. But like, when am I ever going to use this pose? I just don't know. This guy with it, who's this, Mr. Clean? Look at that earring. I don't know, guys. I don't know. Let's take this, delete. Because we just want that arm. We just have to have his arm, right? And we can have different parts. But this was the idea, right? Having all these different body parts. Cool thing is, you ready for this? Are you ready? We are Frankensteining today. We could always jump in. We can we can change the color, right? We can also go in. We can add a pattern. We can add gradients to these, right? We could do this individually if we want to. Just click and go through and add these different parts if we want to, right? That's all I'm doing at this point. Again, but these are like happy colors. I don't really want, it's kind of making it look more modern. You know, it looks like Frankenstein's monsters at a disco, right? Which again, I don't know if I really want this. I would undo all these, right? Guess what you could do? If you want everything is the same color, first of all, you can group them all, right? We can go ahead and I showed you, you could select all of these and you can merge all those shapes. Showed that earlier if I wanted it on one layer, okay? But what we want to do here is make it even easier for us because we don't really want to lose that editability. So I'm going to group everything. Command G for group. Now here is the monster. There we go. Now what we can do is on top of that layer group, this folder right in here, this is where we can have a gradient overlay if we want to, or a color overlay of a different color if we want. So just a quick way to sort of take multiple shapes and then make them all one color or whatever the case. It's like, where's the beer? Here's the beer. That's funny. Because I wanted to keep these independently. You guys are kind of laughing about his arm. It's like, here's my beer, right? Well, again, I have full control over those individual layers, which is awfully nice, right? And I get it. He has lots of arms. That's okay. This is what I'm going to do now. Are you ready for this? This is really cool because we have additional layers. Look, we have this guy. Oh, brooding. Oh, man, look at that. It's like, what are we going to do to this guy? They're all mansplaining poses. They're ridiculous poses, that's for sure. But that's what we want, ridiculousness. Where's the flowers, Sig? You know what? They're coming up in about 7 minutes when I get into the masterclass. So how's that for me doing the same thing over and over? Just kidding. It's going to be awesome. I'm really excited about it. So check this out. Now I actually want him to just be revealed in those shapes. So what do? We make those a clipping mask right over here. I think the easiest thing to do is hold down the Option key and then click, and then it will make that a clipping mask, right? Now, when you add clipping masks, it adds the clipping mask, but there's still these color overlays that I added, right? So I could always turn those off or get rid of them, and now we have this situation where he's kind of inside. Because so this is Victor Frankenstein, and this is Frankenstein's monster. It's like in his head, I'm gonna create this being. So I think it's kind of cool to do something kind of like that. Maybe have this in the background. We could have this offset too, right? Kind of like that. We could flip it, right? We could just have some fun here, kind of like that. And then we have like, again, just a weird Frankenstein's, inside Frankenstein's mind is his monster. Alt for those on PC. Yeah, Option or Alt key. So that's kind of where this is at. I did want to get into more colors. If we decide we want to add a color splash in the background, I make a new layer, and then I'll just click on whatever I want. Kind of dig that color, right? So, but again, we can do kind of whatever we want with that. And we can get into tinting as well. So oftentimes I'll add a gradient, and then I'll use a blend mode. So with that layer selected up here at the top, we'll just roll through these, and you can give him like a different tint, right? And have those shapes on top, right? I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. In this case, if this is gonna be like a book cover or something, I want this to be a little bit more muted. I don't know. What do you guys think? Larry, I personally have not read the story, but I would be into it. So, again, like that, we can drop in that text right there, play with the text all day long as well. Maybe move that down, blur it out, maybe bring back the lightning, right? There's a number of things we can do, but that's all for you to decide, right? I'll let you guys determine kind of what you want to do, because hey, it's all about getting creative and seeing what happens. I think it needs to be red. It needs to be like that, maybe. I don't know. Let me know what you think. I'm kind of struggling with this. I think it's kind of cool. I kind of like it because it focuses more on Frankenstein and but also the monster, which is why I kind of dig this cover. I would play with the font some more to kind of make it look more rough and stuff. But that's for another day. Once you're done with that, go ahead and go to File, Export. I just quick export as a JPEG, right? As I select that to my desktop, right there. That's Frankenstein. And don't forget to post to Discord. I appreciate everybody that's been doing this. I think the painting was really fun. Look at this. So good, right? Even adding a little texture. Great job writing there, Midge. So right there we have shapes and colors. Shapes and color. There we go. You get the idea. Cool. Post it there. Would love to hear from you. I gotta go. Masterclass up next. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in a sec.